Hello.
Hi, folks.
How are you?
I'm trying to sit appropriately. I look really low on my camera.
All right.
I don't know, is that right?
Yeah.
So I'm a bit flustered. Why is that, Luke?
Katie, can you come to the studio? Yeah, fine. I'm at your house. Oh, I'm not there.
Yeah. So, yeah, went the long way. Scenic route.
You got here with 3 minutes to spare.
I did. It's great.
It's all good.
It's great.
And as you said, you got to listen to more of your audiobook.
I did. How to Know a Person. It's a good book. Recommend it. Yeah.
Good.
There we are.
There we are. This is a frictious topic.
We've thought about this. We've had this one up our sleeves for a little while, haven't we?
Yes. Did somebody recommend it to us?
I think they did,
someone
actually.
asked us.
To talk about this particular topic.
And this has been, should we, shouldn't we, what can we say, what can't we say? And then we just went, okay.
Let's just do it.
just
do it. Let's just talk about it. Because that's what we're about, isn't it? Talking about stuff other people often don't want to talk about.
The real shit.
Yeah. So, ending friendships, Luke.
Fine.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, let's see how that plays out today. Let's give you a real live demonstration of a friendship. God knows it might happen. So it's a difficult topic, and we sort of briefly discussed it in the past, haven't we?
I mean, even before this topic came up, we have discussed things such as that anyway, because we've been through some similar experiences in that respect.
Yes. Although I'll let you tell your content in the way you want to tell it. For me, I have ended friendships, and sometimes not in a good way. I see that now. That's life experience teaches you stuff. So,
An important part of this whole conversation is recognising that we all make mistakes.
Or do things with the best knowledge that we have at that moment, right? And that's what growth is. And doing things differently comes from understanding and empathy and life experience. Discuss.
Yes. So, well, I mean, I too have ended friendships. But particularly, God, they're so like, I want to go, and I want to go.
It's difficult because I think we're both aware that the other parties, we don't want to talk too much because they haven't consented to anything like this.
Yeah, but we're not name dropping.
No, I know, but I'm aware. I don't want to talk too much detail because I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. Do you want to talk? What do you want to talk about as far as this is concerned? Do you have anything you want to throw in the ring?
I have had observations of ending friendships throughout my life. And so if I could talk about something I observed through my parents when they lost a significant friendship, and as a child growing up with that friendship within our family, it was very hard for me to lose that friendship when it was completely out of my hands. And I tried to get meddly. I tried to, fix it.
Okay.
And it's only now that I have been through a long-term friendship breakup that I look back and think, why? I wasn't a child, I was a young adult, but I'm like, why was I getting involved? Because it was hurting me. But now I can see it from the perspective of having lost a long-term friendship, that I understand why they never came back together, why that friendship couldn't be rebuilt, why that friendship will never be the same going forward. And I understand it now because I've been through it. Because you often rely on friendships even more than romantic relationships, I think.
I think so, because you can say things without the day-to-day life and coexistence coming into play, can't you, I suppose? There's a bit of a distance.
And the friend is the person you go to complain about the romance stuff.
I never do that.
Oh, never. I don't mean, genuinely, I don't know.
No.
But my 18-year friendship went through various relationships with me. You know, various romantic relationships, and was my sounding board and my stability through all of that stuff. So in some respects, that was more important to me than, well, definitely more important to me than the previous romantic relationships that I'd had.
Because it was a point of continuity, like
yes,
trust and continuity.
Trust, sounding board, honest conversations, just help with decision making, and I also thought that person would be in my life for my whole life. But and again, I made the assumption I talked about this parental situation with a family friend. And I made the assumption that those people would be in my life for my whole life. So I grew up with an expectation of best friends are for life. And I don't know if you found this, but you hold on to some friendships because you have history. But it doesn't mean that if you met today that you would become friends.
Yes.
Often what happens is not everybody grows in alignment. A lot of people grow in different directions, and that's okay. But it's very hard when I had this core belief system that best friends are for life.
Yeah. Well, I can appreciate that you would feel that way. I mean, is that something you grew up with? If you had that in your childhood though, and it sort of fractured, where did that core belief come from that friendships are for life?
It fractured in early adulthood.
Okay.
Yeah, so throughout my whole childhood,
right,
family, best friends,
yeah,
more like family than my extended family to me.
Okay.
Then that in my early 20s, that parts, and I couldn't really cope or get my head around that because best friends are for life. Tried to intermingle and try and fix things, probably made it worse.
That's hard.
And then would think about, well, where's the blame? And then would drive myself insane figuring out what actually happened. Because I never know. I don't think I'll ever know. But now, having been through it as an adult, I kind of see why things couldn't be repaired, and I shouldn't have got involved to try and repair.
But why wouldn't you? Because everything in you said this is for life, so I need to fix this. That's really interesting.
What was your view that best friends should be for life? Is that something you understood?
No, quite the opposite. So in my family, I don't think my parents definitely didn't have many friends. My mum had a best friend. That all went wrong. Probably when I was little, through external factors that nobody could really control. A choice had to be made, and the choice was made elsewhere, and they weren't friends anymore. So I never really saw my mum and dad have a lot of friendships. We didn't have that kind of upbringing. So I was never really modelled how you are, how to be a friend to somebody. It was not something that I was shown how to do. And I think with other things that were going on in my sort of upbringing at that time, emotional intimacy was not something I was modelled either. So I had nothing, no resources at all. And I think what's happened with me is a different journey. I sort of was quite frivolous with my friendships, I think, growing up. Didn't have many friends as a kid. As a teenager, and it's sort of at uni, and then in my early 20s, friends were just people you hung out with and, got drunk with, I'll be honest, and, we'd socialised, but they weren't. I was probably quite self-reliant and quite independent, and didn't do emotional intimacy.
Didn't create core friendships.
No, sort of, but they weren't. They were lopsided. It was the other person was probably more interested in being my mate than I was with them.
It's interesting.
And what's happened now is, since going through various other things in life, trauma and death and various, I just sort of reassessed and gone, whoa, this isn't right. This is not. I don't want this now. I want connection with people. So I think part of my issue with friends in the past has been just haven't taken it seriously. Been a bit too independent. I've literally just thought that now as we were talking.
Hear yourself think.
I am hearing myself think. I am. You're providing a thinking environment for me, Luke. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what I think. And it's just, it takes time to unpick that, because I think there's an emotional vulnerability. Being connected and close and intimate with your friends is hugely vulnerable, because they can just, like we're talking about, it can just go, you know.
Friendship was so important to me growing up. I was not a popular kid, surprise, surprise.
Oh.
You know, the gay kids are never popular, are they? Well, they probably are now. It's different world now. And so I never fit in with the boys. I hung out with the girls until I got bullied for hanging out with the girls, and then tried to fit in with the boys. And then probably around year 9 at school, I started to really solidify a good group of friends, and actually what that turned out to be was all of the gay boys
Okay.
who were pretending not to be, hanging out together with a bunch of our girlfriends.
Yeah.
And actually we solidified a very safe, nurturing group of friends, and I'm still friends with a lot of those people now.
That's really nice.
And I also was modelled growing up that friends are more important than family.
Okay.
We barely saw our family, but our family friends were like our family. So I grew up with a very strong emphasis on friendship.
That's nice. That's really nice, and that is what we do with our kids now. So we've got a bunch of friends, and we're all, you know, very much that's what we do. So isn't that interesting? I've not thought about how that's going to shape my children's views on friendship and connection and growing up, but that's really interesting.
But what I guess I also developed was an unhealthy attachment to friendship.
Okay.
In a sense of, you know, a friend should be for life. And I found myself holding on to friends that I really didn't necessarily resonate with anymore. And always being the one to message first or whatever, you know, or to sustain the friendship or to keep in touch. And I stopped doing that actually in the last probably 10 years, to be real. And then the core ones we've maintained contact with, and the others, we have kind of a healthy distance, in a sense of if we were to bump into each other in the street, we would have a wonderful conversation. It would be like we'd never been apart, but we don't on day-to-day talk to each other.
How does that feel to you?
Fine. Like, I think that's a real source of a solid place of love and respect.
Okay.
Like when you love and respect each other so much that you could see each other and it fills your heart and reminds you of good old times and nostalgia and all of that, but also recognising that we're different and we have busy lives and we don't have any pressure to be in each other's lives, but we still love each other from a distance.
Yeah, that's very emotionally mature and healthy and lovely.
So I have a lot of friends like that, and I also think when I stopped drinking, a lot of my friends disappeared.
I've heard that with clients, like health coaching, they've said that suddenly my social circle has just disappeared.
Yes, absolutely, and that certainly happened. But again, if I bumped into any of those people, it wouldn't be a case of I'm going to cross the road and pretend I didn't see them. You know, I think that's really nice and healthy. And I think it's just a recognition of we don't have loads in common anymore, but we have a history in common that's nice to revisit every now and then.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's important to have those people. I always talk to my sister about this, and it's interesting because I think my sister, because she's that much older than me, grew up at a different time in my parents' lives and saw them as different people, and she has a completely different attitude to friendship. She's very sociable, and she talks about the importance of having these people in your life that know you from old, and they sort of root you in your identity because you have those common stories, and how interesting and useful and valuable that is. So
I think it is, but in small doses, because I think if you then try and force or create a friendship out of that becomes like a regular, I must see them or I must message them or something, you end up just replaying old stuff over and over.
This is true.
You don't necessarily create new stuff. So I have, you know, wonderful friends that I can replay those old memories with, but also I feel more connected with some of my newer friends. Delaney. And I, you know, if we just talk about us for a second, we haven't known each other that long.
Not even a year.
Yeah.
Can't get rid of him. I've tried.
And we have evolved very quickly in terms of building a friendship, because at this moment in our lives, we have a lot in common. And we resonate with each other at this moment in our lives right now. And that is, for me, more valuable than having a friend of 20 plus years that I only really reminisce over old stuff with.
Yeah. It's difficult though, isn't it, with those sorts of friendships, if you've known someone for a really long time, but it's not quite working.
It's really hard.
I guess we've all had that experience where you just drift apart from someone. That's normal, the ebbs and flows of friendship. But if there's one person that's really trying to maintain the friendship and you're not keen, that's hard, isn't it, to deal with that? Have you had that experience?
Well, with me and my best friend of 18 years, she went distant, doesn't live in the same country, so that also creates a distance in itself. But, I was like, why am I only getting one word responses, or why am I not hearing for weeks and weeks? But with this pressure coming from me of, we're best friends, we must message each other all the time, we must speak all the time, we must tell each other everything. And actually what I was receiving back was very limited, very short, and then often nothing. And then I actually took my husband to message and say, are you okay? Luke's really worried about you.
Oh, really? Okay.
Which then resulted in X, Y, and Z unpleasant things, and that we are no longer in alignment. And I think my view on that now, it's not so raw, is I could totally have accepted that we're no longer in alignment. That's okay. We don't have to grow like this, we can grow like this.
Was the frustration that you weren't growing together? Was there a frustration?
The frustration that there was a dishonesty. That it was being eked out for so long, and no honest conversation happening. And then when it all did come out in this kind of very aggressive text, actually the majority of it wasn't even factual. It was a difficult situation, but I feel like if there was more honesty, I could have really easily accepted we have grown apart. Because I can accept that.
Yeah, it happens.
That happens. And it could have been a kind ending. But I think is my pressure of the role of a best friend.
Okay.
And actually, do we even need the role of a best friend? Is this something
you need to define it?
Do you need to define it?
Yeah.
Because it just adds a whole layer of pressure.
This is true. But that sounds like that's something that you were carrying with you, that you felt you had to do.
Yeah, up until that point, I believed in best friends.
Yeah.
Now, I don't necessarily believe in best friends, because actually I think if I've had someone that I've loved for 18 years as a best friend and shared every intimate moment of myself with, and then that can just be switched off in a text message, I just think, was that even friendship at all? And if we didn't define the label of best friends, I think I would have just gone, okay, she's just a friend and we've grown apart. And there wouldn't have been any pressure for us to communicate. I think I put pressure on the communication, thinking that's what best friends do.
It's very interesting, isn't it? Because there's no contract. It's not you're married or something.
No, but it felt like there's a contract.
Yeah.
And part of my response to this was, best friends share intimate things with each other. Best friends are there for each other. Best friends don't judge each other. Best friend, I had all of these things.
Scripts.
Like, my job description of a best friend, and I shared that. And I said, I know that all of these things are shoulds. And you know me, and I don't really like to do shoulds. But I was putting these shoulds on her. This is how you should be as a best friend.
You were shoulding on her.
Yes.
Maria.
Yes. But then I acknowledged I appreciate that these things are shoulds with we've always behaved this way to each other until now. Yeah. And now it's changed.
Which I think is perfectly fair to say that. It's perfectly fair to say this has changed. What's going on? You're totally entitled to know.
I don't think I'll ever know what's going on.
No.
I never got that.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for that. It's none of my business what's going on.
Okay.
as a best friend, I would have thought, oh, it is my business to know everything that's going on with you. But it was clear at that point that we weren't best friends and hadn't been for a while. I was the one that didn't know.
Okay.
You know, I wasn't privy to that information that we weren't best friends anymore.
I guess that's what I mean, though. I think you have a right to say, well, everything was fine until it wasn't, so what's changed? I think you're okay to ask that question.
But I don't feel okay to ask that question,
Okay.
because if we're not best friends, I shouldn't be privy to that information. What I have done is left a door open and said, if you want to explain later in the future, I'll have a conversation without judgment.
Yeah.
But I realise in hindsight that I put all of those shoulds on her. And obviously that was too much.
You've been very gracious as an outside observer, knowing very limited information. It feels you're quite gracious, and that's a very nice thing to be. But I kind of feel that you could justify an explanation if you were really close and then suddenly you weren't. I think that's okay to ask. She doesn't have to tell you, it's okay to ask.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, I know.
I think because of the stuff that came to me was so out of character from what I've experienced before. There may not even be an awareness of what's going on at the moment. It might be something that reveals in the future. But I'm making assumptions.
Yeah.
So I tried to be as I don't know if diplomatic's the right word, but I just tried to be as cautious as possible with my wording and leaving it open without judgment, because I know that I don't behave in the best way if I'm going through something. And so it may be that there's something going on that I'm not privy to, that information, and therefore I'm not receiving the best response for that reason. So I'm trying to be really non-judgmental about it. That's very hard.
It's hard. And you know, I think we have judgment within us for a reason. It's a survival skill. You know, you've got to judge, is something safe, is something going to be worth our while. Well, judgment is a key life skill. So, and I stand by what I believe is that you're okay to have a judgment that didn't feel good to you. That's okay, and therefore you're allowed to say that. But yeah, it's her choice what happens about that. But that's just my external view.
I guess my point is I no longer have any expectations.
Yeah. Expectation is the mother of disappointment, so they say.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, so I don't have any expectations, and I think that moving forward, I think that's quite a healthy thing to apply to friendship.
Yes, I would agree.
Or any relationship, really.
Yeah, just be with each other. See each other as, I guess, walk the same path for a time. It takes some emotional maturity, I think, though, to get to that point. Don't you think? That's life experience has probably got you to that point.
Probably. But as I've also cut people off before. Do you feel happy to talk about that or not?
Yeah, we can talk about it. Yeah, it's a difficult one because it came back to me for months, possibly longer than that, what actually went on. So I don't really want to go into a lot of details about it because this other person hasn't consented. But it became clear to me that they were unhappy with me and they hadn't told me.
That's a familiar story.
And I felt suddenly incredibly paranoid that I wasn't the person I thought I was, that I'd done all these things wrong. And there was an opportunity for this person to have approached me to talk about it, and it didn't happen. And I, in hindsight, should have said, I think, can we talk about this? Because I've heard this information from a reliable source that you're not happy with me. Can we talk about it? That's what I should have done. That's what emotional maturity and maybe a bit of self-confidence would have done. But instead I waited and I waited and I waited and nothing happened. And I had a hissy fit and deleted them on social media. And that was just it. I just thought I can't, because it was starting to make me really paranoid about who I was as a person. Because they would pop up on social media and comment on things and I just couldn't handle it because they were being nice to me there. I'm like, but I know for a fact you're not happy with me. So it really confused me, and the only thing I could think to do at that time was cut them out of my life. And it's really interesting because I follow this lovely lady, Hayley Page McGee, who talks about recovering from people pleasing and boundary setting, and how actually when you've never set a boundary and you start doing it for the first time, you can go like, whoa, boundary, you just sort of throw them up around yourself. That's exactly what I did. It was a reactive kind of just get out because I can't think straight. I cannot think straight. hindsight now, a few years down the line, I wouldn't have handled it the same way. And I do think fondly about that friendship. There was a lot that was good about it. There was a lot that could have been done differently on their part and on mine. Mm-hmm. But communication, fundamentally, I think, is the answer. You know, let's talk about this. I know I made mistakes, and I know I didn't handle it well at the end. Oh, okay.
No, sorry.
I was going to say, do I regret them not being in my life? I think we met at the wrong time. I think if we'd met now, we would get on really, really well. And I'd be stronger and more assertive because they're quite a strong personality. Mm. What were you going to say?
Deleting people off social media. Mm. I'm a big fan.
Having a purge.
A cull.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why people believe that social media is real life. That just because I've deleted your social media doesn't mean I'm not going to stop and talk to you if I pass you in the street. I just don't want to see your shit. Often. I mean, you can do unfollow now, which is a bit different, isn't it? But I deleted everyone off social media. Around the time of the Brexit campaign, I couldn't cope with realising the people that I knew and loved who were just being outright racist, especially given that, you know, my husband is not a British national, and neither are a lot of my family members, and a lot of people being out and out racist. So I thought, I'm not going to pinpoint individuals and say, you're racist, goodbye. I'm just going to blanket delete everyone, because I didn't want to see any of it that was going on social. I get too easily wound up. I get too easily involved in being a keyboard warrior. But I put a fair few posts out to say I'm going to do this on this date. These are the reasons. Also because keeping my children safe so that they're not located. So I just deleted everyone. And you know how many people got offended by that? Loads.
Really?
Loads. And even like a year, you know, that was what, 4 or 5 years ago now? 5 years plus?
More than that, 2016, isn't it?
Yeah. And I'd still get, like even just maybe a year or two ago, somebody messaged and said, oh, I see you deleted me off social media. I was like, yeah, like years ago, along with everybody else. It's like, it's not real life. It's not real. I just got rid of everyone. And actually I've got a few people that have crept back in because they've sent me a request and I felt bad for declining. The truth is I'm probably going to cull them again because I don't have friends on social media because I want a blank account.
That's really interesting though, because I think I am different to you in that I do see people that I connect with on social media as being friends, and I'm very picky about who I connect with. I won't connect with people that I've sort of just met once. You know, I don't like that. I don't want to collect people. Yeah. So maybe it is an interesting perspective to think, what does it mean to people? You know, is it a friendship enhancing communications tool, or is it a little microcosm outside of real life? What does it mean to you? And I guess that's a case again of understanding perspectives. And how perspectives influence behaviour, which funnily enough is like the book that I'm reading at the moment, How to Know a Person. It talks about looking through their eyes. How do they see the world so that you can react accordingly? But how you can't do that. You can't do a survey. How do you see Facebook? But we all maybe need to lend each other a little bit more grace and sort of understand that we've all got different views and we all need to do our own shit, right? If that's what works for you, that's what works for you. If you've got a strong enough friendship outside of social media, it doesn't matter. Yeah, exactly.
And if it doesn't, then it doesn't.
Then it doesn't, yeah.
So very recently, I had a very good friend for a long time, and there was never any argument or anything, but we just drifted apart. She moved to another area, which she doesn't have any friends on Facebook either.
Yeah.
And so we just drifted apart. And just last weekend, I think it was last weekend, we met up for coffee after probably 5 years of not seeing each other. And it was like we were just hanging out yesterday.
That's nice.
And for me, that's a sign of like a true solid friendship.
Yeah.
There's no expectation from each other. There is only love when we meet up.
That's lovely.
You know, and for me that's what it is, because life gets so freaking busy. You can't be expected to prioritise partners, children, all of the children's social events, social media, work, and all of your ex-colleagues that used to be your friends and are only Facebook friends now, and like everything. You collect so many people in your life.
It's true.
You can't keep on top of all of that. That's not reasonable.
Well, no, and also, you know, you've got, as you just said earlier, you've got things that are going on in your life right now and people that align with that right now, and so it's naturally going to spend more time with those people at that point. You know, there'll come a season when, you know, you sort of, things have shifted and you spend more time with another person. Definitely had that, you know, I know that feeling. But also, you made me think of a lovely friend of mine who I haven't seen in a very long time, who I could... And we did meet up for a coffee, it might be 18 months ago, and we just went blah, 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 blah. And it was lovely, and then it didn't happen again just because of life.
Yeah.
But we have that friendship, and it's so nice. It's those are kind of magic, aren't they? They're quite
I like
special.
the idea of seasons.
Again, that's one of my sister's words. Friendship comes in seasons. She's very good at this.
Yeah. You know, when I had my accident, the people who I thought, not just friendships but family as well, who I thought would be there weren't. But people that are completely unexpected popped out of the woodwork.
Weird, isn't it?
You know?
Yeah, same with my parents dying.
Yeah.
I had messages from people I really didn't expect to hear from.
Yeah.
And they support you in ways that you just weren't expecting. That's heartwarming, isn't it?
And some of those people I'm now out of touch with again, but not for any negative reason, just because they were here for that season.
Yeah. But you'll get back in touch.
At some point,
you will do
for
that.
sure.
Yeah, I first reached out to you when you put a very vulnerable post on Facebook. I don't know if you remember that. And I said, hi, I don't know you, but you're friends with my other friend and this other friend, and I just saw your post, I thought it was really vulnerable, it was really nice.
Oh, yes.
And that was nice. People pop out the woodwork, very strange times.
But that particular post, I'm thinking of the same one, didn't spark a response or reaction from anyone who I was, you know, family members, my former best friend, nothing.
Interesting.
And not even an ounce of nothing.
But did you talk about it outside of that context, thinking of social media as not being the real world?
No, I tried to, and I got dismissed.
Oh gosh.
So,
that's hard.
Yeah. So again, you know, I don't think that sometimes the people that you assume aren't always going to be there anyway. So again, putting a pressure on someone, because if that person wasn't a best friend, I wouldn't have thought anything of it. But because a best friend didn't reach out, I feel sad. But if it wasn't a best friend, I wouldn't have thought anything.
That's interesting. That's very good. Yeah. So a key takeaway from this conversation is not to have expectations from friends.
It doesn't come, friends don't come with job descriptions.
No, that's very true. And we've all got our own shit that we've brought into the world. Like, you know, so somebody like me, the way I used to behave and can still behave is a bit flaky. I can disappear because of intimacy issues, like, oh God, don't get too close to me because I'm going to scream and run away. I'm working on that. I'm actively working on that now because I want that connection that comes with vulnerability. And I'm like so vulnerable now. I will tell anybody anything.
It doesn't come naturally for most people, vulnerability though.
No, I think for me it's because it's quite opposite, like literally the antithesis to who I was. I was shut down and I've gone, fuck it. And just say everything now. My life. So yeah. I've experienced the power of it, and I guess because it's been so difficult for me in the past, and I've gone so far the other way, there is really nothing I wouldn't say now, unless it's for protecting somebody else. Like today, not going into details, it's for somebody else's reasons. So I think I'll find a middle ground somewhere, but I can still be a bit flaky. I can still be a bit, I need to just go and hide in a cave for a bit sort of socially worn.
Do you ever get diary anxiety? And a friend messaged and said, should we meet up? And then I don't want to look in my diary and I don't want to write it. And I'm like, no,
absolutely.
I've got too much going on, I don't want another commitment. I love you, but no.
Yes, and then what they call JOMO, joy of missing out, when somebody goes, oh, I'm really sorry, but I can't make it. And you're like, yes, I really want to see you, but yes, I've now
Bridgerton is on.
Yes, exactly. I haven't finished it yet. I need to sit.
I finished it last night.
Oh, did you? No, I didn't know you watched this, so we're going to have to talk about that. Yeah, I know. I get the JOMO, definitely. It's bad, isn't it? But it's also good.
Or is it like super good that we're aware that we need self-care time?
Yeah, this is true.
And that, we have a limit, and we don't have to say yes to everyone.
No, it's hard though.
You've got a comment.
Oh, I've got a comment. Thank you, Lisa. It's especially been so weird and surprising the last few years, but wow, new connections have been life-changing and abundant. Great chat. Thank you, Lisa.
I want to talk about that actually. It's like a case of when one door closes, another opens, because when my friendship of 18 years ended, this stalker turned up.
I'll say it again, I slid in your DMs.
You did, yeah. First time I've let a lady do that.
What kind of coffee did you buy me for my birthday?
Oh, I did buy you a bonker coffee.
Bought me a bonker.
Got her a bonker for her birthday.
It's the closest I'll get to bonkering from Luke.
Bonker and some chocolate lesbians.
Oh, absolutely. Now, do you know what? My daughter started saying that.
Has she? Sorry.
You can't say that at school. You just, it's okay around the house, but you don't, please. Choco Leibniz. Biscuits. We always end up on biscuits.
We always end up on biscuits.
So yeah, it's right. But the thing is, I believe that sometimes if you make a decision to end, you just kind of not go down a particular path in life, you are naturally opening a door to something else.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it could be, you could make it feel divine and like, oh, that person left and then this one walked in, but you're actually creating the space and becoming more receptive naturally. So, and that goes for friendship, that goes for love, that goes for work, hobbies, whatever. When you actually, I think when you say that wasn't right, you create the space for what is. That's just spot on.
Create the space for what is. It's very nice. I like that.
Good. Glad you like it.
Yeah. So friendships, I think, no expectations. Or lower expectations, maybe. No job description involved. Yeah.
Understand that everybody has different perspectives on friendship and where they've come from in life and what that means, what friendship means, and what shit they might be going through that makes them the way they are.
Yeah. Or have been through.
Yes. The seasonality of friends.
And just because you don't talk to them now doesn't mean you never talk to them again.
No. Exactly, which kind of all comes down to the same thing that you just said, which is expectation. If you just accept that friends sort of ebb and flow,
flow, yeah,
like the river.
I feel like they're really good names for like two guinea pigs or something.
Ebb and flow. Your guinea pigs, yeah, absolutely. You don't have any at the moment?
Not anymore. No. I'm guinea pigless. Yeah, I'm trying to get a cat at the minute, but Alex isn't having it.
Oh, but you need a kitty cat.
Our friend's relative, the best way to describe it, has 2 kittens at the moment. And one of them's a little black boy.
Oh, black cat's the best.
I know, and Octavia is desperate for a black cat.
They're so wonderful.
She wants to call it Pepsi.
Just so you know, a young black cat will kill everything, so they will hunt.
Specifically that colour?
They're better at it because they can hide in the shadows.
Oh, right, okay.
That's
I'll have to get a ginger one then.
That's my kind of feeling. Is we have a black cat, Luna, and she is like Mama Luna. She's like the mafia boss of the area. She kills everything. But cats I just love them. My house at the moment is surrounded by cats. I went out my back door today. There's another cat, just was like rolling over, cuddle me. Went upstairs, my cat's up there with her best friend, who's not even my cat. It's like cats everywhere. What does that mean spiritually?
I don't know. Can you just take one for me and bring it home?
No. No, they are all owned.
It's frowned upon.
No, kind of frowned upon. More trouble than it's worth.
Yeah, no, so anyway, Alex is not giving in. He's not letting me have one.
Alex.
Rude.
Give Luke a cat. They're lovely.
If you'd like to put some pressure on my husband, feel free.
Cat pressure.
Yeah.
So there we are.
So best friends should be cats.
Best friends should be cats.
Yeah, they're not going to let you down.
Yeah, they will hunt. They'll make your life a misery.
Do you know what? We've got a bit of a mouse problem at home at the moment, so it might not be a bad idea.
There we go. Do it.
Yeah.
I've often said though, I couldn't have our cat if I wasn't married to James, who's very good at DIY. I mean, he's done things. He's like unscrewed a cupboard from the wall to get the mouse out that's behind it. He unscrewed the dishwasher to get the rat that was behind that one.
I don't mind these animals at all when they're alive. I just don't want them dead.
No, it was a live one.
I'm alright with the live ones. I can catch a live one, but I don't like dead things. Because dead things look at you like this.
And they go.
Yeah. I just feel like it's something wrong with something that doesn't have a soul. Like it freaks me out.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. Okay, so it won't catch anything. Get an old cat. An old cat won't catch anything.
My previous cat was a rescued cat from the RSPCA, but it was a street cat. He was very chilled. With Larry, loved him. So I wanted to finish this conversation just because it's topical at the moment with one of those getting to know you things.
Okay, your face is just so excited. I'm going to be really shit at this.
Okay, right. Fears and phobias.
Fears and phobias?
Yeah.
What are my fears and phobias?
Do you have any irrational ones? Because I've got a totally irrational phobia.
I do have a completely irrational one. It's the first one that's popped in my head. There's probably others. I really cannot stand dead spiders. Like, I don't like living ones particularly, but the dead ones, they go all screwed up and they just give me the creeps. So I'm worse with dead spiders. So like when you're moving furniture and there's like a big old screwed up one, it's dead spider. So yeah.
This is not dissimilar.
What's yours?
I did not call this.
Okay.
Dead fish.
Dead fish. Dead
like,
fish.
I can't possibly have a goldfish in my house because they're fine and then they're like, and it just freaks me right out. I'm just looking at it on their belly.
Yeah, but there's no eyes on us. Well, I can see it on a spider.
Yeah, so a spider wouldn't bother me because there's no eyes. But when you can see like into the eyes of something that doesn't have a soul.
So don't take you to the fishmonger sort of
no, I'm alright with food fish. That's different. I can disassociate from that. But like Nemo's or goldfish or whatever.
Okay.
Freak me right out.
What reactions that causing you? What do you do? Do you run? Do you like?
You know when you go to the pet shop and there's the fish bit, I just send the kids down the aisle and I just stand at the edge like this, not walking down there.
Crazy fish, man.
In case there could just be a floater.
In case they just spontaneously die in front of you.
They do just spontaneously. So I've got a bit of trauma.
Okay.
I grew up with a lot of fish in my house, so we had a massive pond, and the amount of times I used to fall in that, or I'd be like looking in it, and then the dead one would just be poking up. Or like a heron would have got one out and then left it on the grass or something. Yeah, freaky. But then I also had a tropical fish tank in my bedroom.
In your bed? That's your personal
right?
space, right?
Yeah, right. And then I'd wake up and there'd just be one looking at me like.
Okay, so.
And so eventually I got to the point where I just put a sheet over it.
Oh my god!
I turned the light off and I just left them. My mum obviously secretly fed them.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
Until we gave them away. But once my mum put one in the toilet and forgot to flush it, and then I didn't go to the toilet for about 4 days.
Wow. Okay. There's a lot of trauma
or
here.
Or she flushed it and it didn't go. I don't know.
So this sort of, I'm getting the feeling that there is this expectation that you're going to encounter a dead fish at any minute because
it could happen. Yeah.
What's
Constantly on edge. As a dead goldfish appears.
That's hilarious.
I sometimes have dreams that they swim in the air.
We've gone from favourite colour to dead swimming fish, airfish.
What next time? Who knows?
God knows what's going to happen.
What do you want to know about us next time?
Yeah. Ask us a random question. Love to know. Love to find out something I didn't know about Luke. That was wonderful.
There you go.
Thank you. I didn't realise fish could be so traumatic.
Or curled up spiders.
Yeah. There was a dead one down the toilet when I was a kid once, and that was really disturbing. I went to have a wee in the morning. I was like, dead spiders. That's probably where it started. But it's the legginess.
Right. Okay. On that note, goodbye.
It's been a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. See you soon.